ABS, anti-lock braking system. Nowadays, anti-lock braking system is used in almost all cars. This system prevents accidents. With ABS, you can prevent accident to happen. Without ABS, you'll lose control on steering when you apply brake. But with ABS, you will have control on your steering when you apply brake. Now, what is ABS and how it prevents accident? We'll discuss in next few minutes. To have a proper understanding of ABS, first we need to understand the principle of steering and braking. When we apply brake, it prevents rotation of the wheel. And the steering mechanism works on the principle of rolling. Wheel always try to avoid slipping on the road. The velocity of the wheel on the point of rotation is always zero. Wheel rotates on its axis, also moving ahead. So the wheel have two kinds of motion and two kinds of velocity as well. For non-slip rolling condition, the vectorial sum of the translational and rotational velocity of the center point should be zero. The axis of the wheel. And just keep this simple concept in mind, you'll be able to understand what is ABS and how it works. In an automobile, car or trucks, all the four wheels should be rolling at the same time to avoid slipping. In fact, the simple rolling principle, the reason why a car turns when you turns your front wheel. Now let us check it. Assume hypothetical conditions. Even after turning your front wheel, of a car, direction of your car is straight. And in this case, the rolling velocity is inclined to the direction of your transitional velocity. And this velocity remains the same. Now, if you add these two velocity, the resultant velocity will not be zero. And this will causes the car to slip. The only way to avoid this is making this translational velocity inclined to this possible only when you makes a turn. Now, when the car makes a turn, the instantaneous centers of all the four wheels can satisfy the condition of rolling. So, you can see how transitional and rotational velocity can be made zero. Now, analyze the steering mechanism. Due to the brake pedal being activated, the wheel stops spinning. And even though the wheel turns, as there will not be any rotational velocity at all. In this case, the wheel will not return as normal case of braking. The wheel will no longer react to the movement of the driver's steering and will slide straight on the road and causes the accidents. Apart from losing control on steering, if the car is without ABS, having one more challenges, moving on the surfaces having different frictional coefficient. Say greasy or slippery surface kind of things in left and right wheels on their traction surfaces. The brake will generate a differential frictional force on the wheels, and that causes a huge amount of torque and results the car goes in uncontrolled spinning, the whole car. Let's see how the ABS solve this problem. An anti-lock braking system is very simple. What ABS does is prevents the wheel from completely lock. And the ABS system includes, there is a speed sensor attached to each wheel, and when the sensor detects that the wheel is about to lock, a hydraulic system partially releases the brake pressure on the wheel. And this way, wheel will be allowed to spin intermittently during the braking condition. Now you can see the immediately effect of intermittent wheel rotation. Here the wheel are rotating at the same time allows the steering to function, intermittent rotation. But the question is, how does intermittent braking of the wheel reduce the stopping distance? Because car with ABS, it stops at a lesser distance. We need to understand this. First, we need to understand how the coefficient of friction between the tire and the wheel varies with respect to the slip. In perfect rolling condition, the value of the frictional coefficient is near to zero. However, when the wheel is in 100% slipping condition, the sliding friction also comes into play. Since rubber is a very complex material which has a strange behavior during this braking, the frictional coefficient varies during the slipping and braking, intermittent braking condition, and it has a peak value of 12% of the slip ratio of the frictional coefficient releases. Car with no ABS, during the braking, the frictional force comes predominantly the sliding friction. However, in ABS braking, slip ratio reduced by 12% with the frictional value at a maximum. But it creates a huge amount of instability in the running system of the car. And by the intelligent electronic braking system distribution, which is a subsystem of a modern ABS system that distributes this instability among the four wheels equally, and EBD reduce the slip just by reducing the brake pressure with the wheel with high friction. Be able to reduce the friction for that wheel that will keep your torque and the wheel of the car under control. I think it is now clear how this, along with this, this 3D model and this animation, how ABS function. And if you ever buy any car, this safety feature you must include in your ABS. Other ornamental feature may not be there in the car, that's okay, but ABS is the most important safety feature of any car nowadays. Thank you for your attention.